Okay, I can see all the little guys. Did you put I don't know how it works on the studio thing for you, but did you put what we're here for in the about section?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. On the TikTok end, I don't know. I did on YouTube.
Okay. Sick.
But of course, I can't just neglect the TikTok audience naturally. And hey, who is it that we're chatting to with right now, Deanna?
Me?
Oh, yeah, always. I mean, in an ideal world, yes, I'm always talking to you. But I believe that we're also talking to some folks on TikTok, some folks on YouTube. We've got Corey over on YouTube, who's been a big, big fan of the show so far. He's tuned in for a lot of it. He's left a lot of comments, a lot of positivity, which we also always love. And look
Oh,
at this. We've
thank
got
you.
Dan the Man and, oh, that's you, Deanna. We've got Vin Penicasio Art and Ken Vandervlist. Man, I love that last name.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
What are we here to talk about today, Dan?
Oh, man, Deanna. So many things. So many things. But mostly, as always, here to discuss the documentary Juggalo Family Values, which Deanna and I have been producing for the last few years and has been launching and premiering on the YouTube channel of the same name, Juggalo Family Values, which can be found over on YouTube. We're posting new clips from the documentary every night at 7:12 p.m. So go ahead and give us a subscribe. Go ahead and give us a sub. Smash that like button, as the kids like to say. We're basically on the march to being influencers, Deanna.
Aggressively.
I mean, you, I feel, have been an influencer for years. Like, I feel like you have a, a deep level of experience with this kind of thing. But me, I'm brand new to the game of influencing people.
I think you're the only person I've influenced.
Well, yeah, for sure. But it's been seismic. You're my number
Oh,
one influencer, no doubt.
thank you, Dan.
Absolutely. Deanna, can you give me a little background on what it is that you're working on there? What is that beautiful painting that you have in your lap?
So I am working on an oil painting of a photo that I took of a juggalette in 2023 at the
Yes, that would
Gathering
have been
of the
2023.
Juggalos in Ohio at Legend Valley. And she was super sweet. So I thought that it would go along with our show to do a Juggalo specific painting. So we're on pretty, we're almost getting into the area where I can play around more with the colors because I'm just trying to get everything laid out where I want it.
Her skin tone is looking really beautiful. I have to say that I really love this series of yours. And in the chat, we got a lot of comments about how people love your art, Deanna. They're big, big
Oh my
fans.
gosh, thank you so much.
I'm so excited that you're finally entering into your Juggalo era, or your Juggalo phase. It's like Picasso's blue period, except with way more Fago.
Very sticky.
Very sticky. Well, that's why we use Diet Fago, Deanna, so that it doesn't get sticky on the
Oh,
crowd.
trivia fact.
Little Juggalo trivia for you on a Friday afternoon. Just to recap again, so my name is Dan, this is Deanna. We've been producing a documentary at the Gathering of the Juggalos, which is a music festival that is focused around the Insane Clown Posse and their fans, who are affectionately known as Juggalos. And we've been filming a documentary there since 2022, so it's going on 3 years, and we've been releasing clips of it for the last few weeks on YouTube. And you can find that on YouTube at Juggalo Family Values is the channel name. At a certain point, we're actually going to get this show dialed into the point where we can have like text on screen. And so you're not just relying on my words. Because what good are they, Deanna?
They're pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Deanna. Oh, we got a couple of whoop whoops in the
Whoop, whoop.
chat. Big ups to Zach at GIF. Well done, Zach.
Hey,
Definitely blessed by
Zach.
God with talent and beauty in Jesus' name. Amen. From Robert Orange 88. Amen indeed.
Nice.
I mean, Deanna is just straight up divine. And
Aw.
to deny that is sin.
This is an excellent start to the show.
Oh, you know who I heard from Deanna yesterday a couple of times was Kirk, Captain Kirk.
Oh yeah.
He reached out. For those of you who don't know, who haven't been following the channel, so Captain Kirk is a good buddy of ours at the camp that we stay at. I was introduced to him in 2023, met him, told him that we were making a documentary there. I think he was a little tiny bit skeptical at first, but then once he got into it and he chatted with us on camera, he became very, very enthusiastic and ran full bore at the documentary and really did an excellent job of showing us all the things that he really loves about his world and his community. And has really become a good buddy and a good friend. We posted a video of him this week on the YouTube channel that's really done well. That's been about his background. Actually, you know what? Should we watch a clip now, Deanna?
Yes, please.
Let's watch a clip now. So this one right here, we filmed in 2023 at the Gathering. This is Kirk and his wife Bubbles, and this is us talking about their relationship a little bit. Let's take a look.
Bubbles, how long have the two of you been married?
We have been married, this will be 2 years?
2 years.
2 years. We've been dating on and off for about 17 to 18
Hell
years.
yeah.
She was high school sweetheart.
Yeah. I went to a Backstreet Boys concert and he was best friends with my sister and met him. I had to wait for him to get his act together, but yeah.
Oh, I see. I know.
Yep, I wasn't ready mentally. I wanted her, but mentally I wasn't ready, so.
How did you know when you were ready?
When he got clean.
Bubbles, how long?
Oh, I just adore that clip of the two of them. I mean, really, it was just incredible to walk along with them and to bask in their love. I love married couples and couples that have been together for a really long time and have worked to build a relationship over years and years. And Kirk and Bubbles, I think, are an excellent example of that. I really love the two of them. Yes, indeed, Corey. Corey in the chat on YouTube looking out. Oh my God, that's so precious and amazing. 18 years. I couldn't agree more, Corey. It's an absolutely beautiful love story between Kirk and Bubbles there at the Gathering. And this, of course, was a little painting that Kirk had commissioned for their anniversary. He gave it to Bubbles last year, in which she gave the origin story that they had met at a Backstreet Boys concert, which I'm like, how did Kirk end up at the Backstreet Boys concert is always a
Did we
question.
not follow up with him about that?
I believe I asked him and I was like, did you go to the Backstreet Boys show? And he was like, no. And I was because I was like, I honestly am having a hard time envisioning you at the Backstreet Boys concert.
I wish we could make that happen just so I could see him there.
Well, you know, the thing is like I have now incorporated a whoop whoop into my normal like concert behavior. Like when I went to the Beyonce show in November of last year or the year before that, like was constantly whoop whooping at that show, and I was like, oh yeah, we are straight up bringing a Juggalo vibe into the Superdome for the Beyonce concert. And I will tell you, I don't think anybody around me was a real fan. I'm not sure that they enjoyed the whoop whoop or really understood the full significance.
It is very significant. It reminds me of when we had just come back from the Gathering and it was Halloween and both of us, we weren't hanging out together for what, I don't know if it was Halloween proper or just Halloween month. But we each individually had run into people with face paint on for the Juggalos and got super excited, and we're like, oh my gosh, can we talk about the Gathering? Have you gone to the one? And they're like, calm down.
Exactly. They're like, whoa, 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 hold on. Like, I'm like, look, I still have the wristbands on. I've got 3 years worth of wristbands. Please talk to me about Juggalos. And they're like, hold on. I'm like trying to dance right now. It's Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't need all of these vibes. Oh, back again, chiming in the chat. That painting is dope. LOL. See, Deanna, you're just getting so much praise, so much love for your painting.
I think that one was for the Kirk and Bubbles one.
Oh, that painting is dope. Oh, I see. Well, also, I'm just going to go ahead and say your painting is dope, Deanna. I'm going to say it one more time. Look like the 98 Degrees dude, Nick Lachey. Wait, let's go back to the clip. I want to see that because I've never actually thought of that before. But let's take a look. He does kind of have like a Nick Lachey vibe in that. That's very interesting. Okay.
Oh my gosh, she does.
Corey Turner saying that painting of yours is coming along fantastically, Deanna. Absolutely
Thanks so
fantastically.
much.
Oh no, I'm sorry, fascinatingly. Which will sub in for fantastically. I also think it's fascinating. Yes, Corey. So Deanna has been at the gathering taking photos. She's excellent at taking photos of people and excellent at IDing real cuties at the gathering. And always has a real eye for somebody that's put together an excellent vibe. This is a nice little series in which she's been painting some juggalos. And so this is a picture that she took in 2023 and this was somebody that was wandering by, and we've been focusing on this one for the last few streams. Oh, Corey specifies that either fascinatingly or fantastically both work. All right, excellent, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good, good. Oh man. But yeah, Kirk, like absolutely love Kirk and adore him. He's been reaching out to me all this week being like, "Hey, you guys are really killing it with the documentary. You've done a really excellent job of like showing why this world is so important to us and what it means to us and the beauty of it." Which I will just say is very easy when you have like a really good little spirit guide like Kirk that can take you through that world and show you everything that it has to offer. This next clip that we're going to watch, we posted earlier this week. This is actually like the third highest performing clip of anything that we've ever posted on this channel, which I'm so stoked about because this is actually like one of my favorite sound bites from anything that we got at the gathering. So let's take a look now. This is Captain Kirk again, describing his background a little bit. You know, you hear a lot of people at the gathering mention that the Insane Clown Posse saved their lives. It's like a pretty common refrain that you hear throughout your time at the festival is like, ICP saved my life. And I think that that comes in many different forms for many different people. But in Kirk's particular instance, let's take a look now. We've got a very compelling story about it.
How did ICP save your life? You mentioned that.
I was a dope head. I was addicted to heroin, shooting $300-400 a day in my veins. I ended up overdosing the last time I used 2 shots of Narcan, 3 minutes away from death, about to shoot me with a third one. Going through getting clean, I was told, you gotta stop being a juggalo, you gotta put that shit aside, it's not gonna be good for your recovery. The Dark Carnival, the people I loved, those are the people that reached out, made sure I was okay. Their music kept me away from it. This is my life, something I truly believe in.
How did ICP save your life?
Oh God, I just adore Kirk. I just love him so much. I think he speaks so eloquently to that and that sense of community and family. And, you know, that is something that I too believe strongly in, is that like your family and your immediate world are the people that save you every time. And the things that we draw strength from and the things that help us to recover and help us get through those trying times in our life are just fascinating to me and interesting. And I think nobody's a better embodiment of that kind of spirit and that kind of power than Captain Kirk.
I totally agree. And I feel like we were saying that other day after he reached out to you how nervous we were because we did the first screening of this at the last gathering. And there are moments like that that are like throughout the documentary that are pretty personal and deal with some heavy subjects. And we both were like mid panic attack. Like, I hope that they like, I don't want this to feel like a betrayal or like anything. And I think we did our best to continually check in and make sure that that anything we were getting on camera was okay to share with an audience. But we also didn't want it to seem like the gathering was just Disneyland either. Like there are aspects of it that are more heavy, or people who have gone through, um, you know, heavy times. And after the screening, I was like, oh my gosh, is everybody gonna be so mad at us? And what did Boogie say?
Boogie said it was actually bloody.
Bloody.
Beforehand, we were setting up for a screening. We had like a big projector that we had done, and it was very important to us that we like screen that and show our audience what it was. And it's specifically not even our audience, but the subjects that we had worked with and the people that we had interviewed and the people that were really actively telling our story. It was very important to Deanna and I that they were okay with what it was that we had made and what we had created. And naturally, I think there's a big separation between what it is that you film and the story that those people tell, and then the story that you tell when you're editing that and putting it together. And there are some people that can be very, they can take advantage of that, and they can use people's words in order to craft their own narrative and their own story. And that was something that Deanna and I were conscious of the whole time. You know, we are not there to take advantage of the people that are there. Like, we have a genuine love for the gathering and for this place. And so we wanted to show that. We wanted to show why it was that we adored this place. And honestly, like, one of the reasons why I adore this place is because people live extraordinarily openly at the gathering. Like, I had been talking to Kirk about 10, 15 minutes total prior to sitting down on camera with him and interviewing with him. And almost immediately, he's opening up about his past stories of addiction and abuse issues and all sorts of things, and just being very much an open book for us and talking to us. And that is something that you hear throughout the gathering completely, like entirely, is like, you'll go up and you'll chat with somebody and you'll be like, hey, is it okay that I just filmed you? And most people are like, yeah, do your thing, do whatever. I don't care. You're good. You're fine. And that's just sort of an overwhelming attitude there. But we were very nervous going into the screening with the camp that we stay at, who were also all of our interview subjects, about how they would be receiving the piece. And I was setting up the projector and setting up the screen, and I had my laptop there. We were all ready to screen. And I was like, well, I really hope you guys like this. And Bloody was like, yeah, we better. It better be good. And I was like, yeah, for sure. And she was like, because if it's not, we're going to beat you up. And I was like, oh my God. What is going to happen? And just for the record, like, Bloody the Clown could break me in half if she wanted to. Like, she would absolutely unquestionably own me in a fight if we needed to. Like, I'm not prepared for that kind of thing. Nor do I want to get into a fight with Bloody. She's one of my favorite people in the world. So we wanted to make sure that, like, I think there was a lot of nervousness going into the screening about how it would be perceived and how it would be received by that audience. And we screened a rough cut for them. And at the very end of it, the picture went to black, and they said, is that it? Is that the end? And we were like, yeah, that's what we have. And Boogie, who is Bloody's husband, had been sitting there and was quiet the entire time. And he just looked at Deanna and I, and he said, that was beautiful. And I think immediately, like, I know on my end, I was like, oh my God, it just feels like a weight has been shed off of me. Like, I just lost like 150 pounds. I feel better. And like, to sit there and like reflect with them about what that meant and their words, and like hearing them back to themselves, and the self-reflection of that as well, was really powerful. Like, they continued to talk for another like 20-30 minutes just about the whole thing and about us. And they were very clear too that they're like, there are a lot of people that come in trying to film things at the gathering that are taking advantage of what is here, and they are trying to make like clowns of us. It's like to point out, like, how silly we are and everything. And as Bloody said, we are nobody's circus and we're nobody's monkeys. Like, we are here, and you're fine to be here, but if you're making fun of us, we're not down for it. And what Boogie and Bloody and Chance said was that at the end of the day, they could tell right away from Deanna and I that was not our intention, that we were trying to make something different and trying to give like a different view of this place. And I think a view that was more reflective of what they love about the gathering. Do you feel that's fair, Deanna?
I totally think that's fair. I think even if people were a little bit nervous going into when we would interview them, I think just based on our questions and follow-up questions, we definitely got super deep, like to a level that if two strangers came up to me and asked me like, what are some of the most nightmarish parts of your life? You know, I would be like, Can we not?"
Yeah, exactly. Could
Um,
we maybe not focus on that right now?
everybody was just super open. And I think because we were trying to get to the depths of people and to understand where they came from and what this means to them. And to get to what something means to them, you have to understand what their impetus would be to get to the gathering in general. Um, it did open up a lot of trust. And I feel like, our friendship levels just blossomed so beautifully as we were there, in a just a genuine way, not like we're just trying to interview you. Like everybody was just incredibly funny, um,
Yeah.
incredibly kind, giving, just the most authentic people, some of the most authentic people that I've ever met.
100%. Yeah. I think that my favorite, we went in with like it was a very bare bones set of questions that we would ask in these interviews as sort of the thought starters. It was like, who are you and what is your name? And I think my favorite question that we would ask would be, how did you get into this? Like, what was your first exposure and how did you end up here? How did you get into this was like the question verbatim. And then every time I just found that ended up being like where that led to in interviewing people at the gathering was always so fascinating to me. It was about their childhoods and their families and their parents and siblings and the lives that they had lived growing up. And it was this very simple question of, how did you get into this, how did you end up here, that would just open up. People would just like open the floodgates and just start talking, and would tell us so much and just give so much insight into them as people. And I always just like that always bowled me over. And when I would go back and watch the footage again, and as we were editing it, that was always the one that it's like we have an entire chapter that's coming up here. I think it's the next one that'll be debuting. We've been doing them in shifts, very loosely. We have the first two chapters done, two chapters of five. The next one really focuses on family and people's home lives. And I think like we built like there's like 8 minutes of documentary just based on that one question of, how did you end up here? That is just so amazing and so incredible. And I don't know, I just really adore these people so much. Like the Juggalos are my absolute favorite. This clip we just put together this week. This is Diggy and the tattoo Deanna. This is like one of my favorite little bits. We ran into Kirk, I want to say on like the third day of the festival, and he was like, look, and he had just got his arm signed by one of the artists at the festival. And he's like, I'm going to go over to my buddy as a tattoo artist, and he's going to tattoo this on my arm. Do you want to come with? And Deanna and I were like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's go check that out. So we ended up filming a little bit with the tattoo artist, who his name is Dicky, and is a super nice guy. We got a little bit of his creative philosophy in there. So let's take a look at that clip now.
Hell yeah.
I've been practicing a lot. It's been my favorite thing to do, like, in my spare time when I'm not tattooing, because, like, dropping it is part of the process. And it's like, okay, your mistakes just, like, go away, basically. Like, you're just like, oh, I pick it up.
Deanna and I ended up having like such a long conversation with him about that. I thought that was a really beautiful, to me, like the process of going to the gathering is very much a creative experience for me. And I have the reason why I love it, and the reason why I call it home is because it is always a place where I can take a creative risk or a creative gamble on something that I have never tried before. And I've only ever found like a really welcoming and open community. And even when it feels like I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just really winging it, like there's always that group, the Juggalos, are always there to catch you and to support you and hold you up, and really literally as long as you are there to showcase what they love about that world, then they are full bore into anything that's celebrating juggalos. And I think Deanna and I ended up talking to Diggy about this philosophy for a while after that, where we're like, yeah, we've been having Deanna, as you can see, an extremely talented visual artist. She's given me drawing lessons in the past, and one of the big things that she says is, there aren't mistakes. Like that. Wouldn't you agree with that, Deanna? That like it's a continual bit of exploration, and I think that when you're trying to make something, and especially when you're trying to focus on art, you really just have that end product in mind and that end vision of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. When really it's like the journey of making it is part of the art. And then on top of that, it's like you're going to make mistakes. And sometimes when you do make mistakes, they end up leading to things that are totally unexpected and you didn't see coming at all, but that make the piece even better. And this little clip of Diggy Juggalo juggling, as it's known, I think really encapsulated that so perfectly, and like was really like, yeah, you drop it, but then you pick it up and you keep going, and you just start over again. And that was something that I loved so much.
That was a very sweet moment.
Sorry, Deanna, I'm just going to the chat. The YouTube chat is wide open. Guess who we've got here, Deanna? We've got Trailer Park
Hi, Trailer Park. How are
back in the
you?
mix. Trailer Park back in the mix. We've also got Sicko Entertainment. Hello, how are you? Much clown love indeed, my man. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
Trailer Park says Juggalos possess mad wisdom. I couldn't agree more. Trailer Park, I couldn't agree more. Corey says it sounds like a really precious culture. Corey, can you? I think I've been assuming that you were a juggalo. Are you not a juggalo? I definitely thought that you were. Given your enthusiasm for the piece, what's been super exciting about posting this stuff to YouTube, Deanna, is that you get a lot of comments from people that are like, I am not a juggalo, and this looks like a lot of fun and makes me want to go to a gathering. And my only response to that, if that happens online or in real life, where people are like, people will come up to me because I have a Hatchet Man pin on my backpack, and then we start talking about ICP and we start talking about the gathering, and people are always like, oh man, I've always wanted to go to the gathering. And my answer is always like, yeah, I was in that same space for 15 years. And what I can tell you now is that, like, if there's any shred of you that finds this intriguing, or if you think this looks cool, or you think that this is something that speaks to you, please go to the gathering of the Juggalos. Like, I can't stress that enough, that if that looks like something that is calling to you, then you have to go there and you have to see it, because you will have an unbelievable experience. Like, I can't even imagine how many people are going through the gathering of the Juggalos having a life-changing experience on a daily basis there. I feel like I have personally had 2 life-changing experiences at the gathering of the Juggalos.
I would also I would say yes, but also just know what you're getting into
Well, yes,
as
for
well. And
sure.
I feel like we definitely threw out the documentary, and we'll be releasing it through here and clips and everything as well. But there are aspects where it isn't for everyone, for sure.
Oh, completely. Yeah, completely. But I do think that, like, there's a strong enough image of juggalos and the gathering in people's minds that you have a pretty solid idea of what goes down there. And unfortunately, because we're on TikTok, I don't think we can play some of like the racier and bigger clips that we have that sort of showcase that stuff again. I do just want to put a teaser out there that there is a clip that we'll be posting in the near future that features me doing something extraordinarily
Are
inappropriate.
you gonna put it out there?
We are going to put it out there. I'm not.
Really?
I want to stick with the plan that we bring on my mom, and we do a debut of the video with
You're
her
gonna show it to
live
your mom?
reaction. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Okay, I
Do you
love
think I
this.
shouldn't?
No, I'm impressed with you.
I look. She gave birth to me. She knows who I am.
She
She's
created
dealt.
this.
She created this mess, and now she has to deal with it. Like, she's the one that put me into the world and has formed a lot of who I am. I would consider my mom to be one of the more influential people in my life, if not the most influential person in my life. And yeah, and she's got to own the consequences of that. It's her doing. It's her fault.
Zach asked on TikTok. He asked if we go into the lore.
So, like, what I find, so the answer is no, because really, I think that the documentary that we've made is pretty focused on the Juggalos and who they are as people, and I think there are a lot of other people that have made like really comprehensive documentaries about like ICP and the lore and everything. What I find personally fascinating about the lore and the Joker cards and the Dark Carnival is, yeah, just like a lot of other what people consider to be holy texts, that they're reinterpreted for your own personal interpretation. When I talked to Frank at Juggalos in Recovery the first year that I was there, he had an entire deep dive wherein he goes into all of the ICP Joker cards and what they mean for sobriety. He leads sober meetings and recovery meetings there at the gathering and creates a really excellent atmosphere for anybody that needs to come in and just needs, like, either whether or not you need to cool down or get help or just have a place to recenter yourself. And then they do recovery meetings twice a day there, and he has like a really in-depth vision of how the Dark Carnival and the Joker card lore fits into sobriety and how it speaks to sobriety. And it seems to me like that is sort of runs the gamut with a lot of Juggalos. It's like the way that it speaks to them and their own personal experience. And so maybe something that I would be interested in going into in further chapters as we go back to the festival is getting a little bit deeper into that. Deanna, let's make a note of that. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I like the idea of the combination, not just of the lore, but like the human aspect that we are interested in. Not that we're not interested in the lore. It's just like it's real deep.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's some mythology involved, and I love music mythology. I'm a big fan of that. But I think that for the purposes of this documentary, we really wanted to focus on like the people that are there, and that to me is like the reason why I love The Gathering is because, if life is a video game or a choose your own adventure story, like I love the side mission. I think it's often more times more interesting than the main mission. It's like going off and doing a side mission and talking to strange folks. And that's the thing to me that like I love about The Gathering is just wandering around and having fascinating conversations with strangers. Like I absolutely love that so much. Um I love talking to people about their mom's spaghetti recipe or how many times they managed to get somebody to boof a duck at the last gathering. Like all of that, I think is just so much fun. And what draws me back there and what keeps me going back there is the interactions with the juggalos that we have. And, going back to something that we were saying earlier, which is just like how openly and honestly that they live and that they present themselves. As Trailer Park says in the chat, Juggalos are more famous than the rap group Insane Clown Posse. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Although ICP has like a lot of, I mean, they have deep, deep lore. Like I struggle to think of another hip hop group or hip hop act that has been active for as long as they have. Or really, I mean, like I think I went into this in the last stream, but like as long as I have been aware of pop culture, I have known that there was a hip hop duo that would dress in clown makeup and rap about like murderous clowns and psychopathic subject matter, and that has always been the case. And I think that really speaks to I I read an interview with Violent J one time where he was like, I just love gimmick so much. Like I adore gimmick. And he's like, whether or not that's like Elvis or pro wrestling like that, or he gave another great example that I'm just totally going to blank on now, like that gimmick, it works and it can become timeless. And in the same way that like I love Daft Punk's music because it is totally timeless. Like the two musicians that are there don't exist. You know, they hide behind masks and they are timeless. You could be listening to Daft Punk music 100 and 200 years from now that was brand new and it would be the exact same as if you were listening to it now. And I feel like the ICP sort of falls into that same category where it's like the anonymity of the face paint and the overall vibe and the gimmick just make that so timeless and make it so readily identifiable as to what it is. I mean, Juggalo face paint the moment that you see it.
Very true. Dan, that might be a good link to one of the clips that we have about did we already play it? The one that was about Juggalo music?
Let's see. Let me pull that up. The bloody clip?
Yeah, well, what, it's, they might rap about certain things, but it's not necessarily about that.
Yes,
I feel like
exactly.
it echoes a lot of what you're saying. While you do that, I'm going to go use the restroom.
Okay. Yes. Oh my God. Gorgeous segue from Deanna there. Indeed. So, one of the people that we chatted with at the gathering in 2023 when we went was Joe. He is the leader of Juggalos for Jesus, which is a support group that will plan itself out in the parking lot at the gathering every year. And they are there to provide water or t-shirts or spiritual support and to preach the good word to anybody that is at the gathering. And we ended up having a really great conversation with them. Joe would say that he is a former Juggalo, that he was a Juggalo at one time and was a huge fan, really loved the music. Unfortunately, he had a lot of addiction issues to drugs and alcohol, and he ended up getting clean and needing to shed that old lifestyle for his new mindset. But one day woke up in the middle of the night and turned to his wife Carrie and said, I just got a vision from God and a word from God that I need to go preach to the Juggalos and we need to go to the gathering of the Juggalos. And so he shows up every year and provides support for the people that are there at the gathering. And this clip, he talks about the music a little bit and what it means to him. And I think that he puts it really, really well. So let's let Joe do the talking.
Like, you listen to the music? No, I don't bump this music. They don't really mean it. These guys are not running around committing murder. Like, it's a show. They're putting on a performance. But preferably, I don't prefer to put those kind of lyrics and those kind of things in my mind, because just like if you're trying to get off alcohol, you're not going to go hang around bars. Like, you listen to the music? No.
Really puts that so well. Although a number of people on YouTube commented, they're like, is this guy just thinking about murder and doesn't want to think about murder? Which I didn't interpret it that way at all. To me, it's like he wants to keep visions of evil and darkness out of his mind because he has given himself up wholly to God. And so like he doesn't want those images and those visions in his head. But I do think that he speaks really well to something that a lot of juggalos mentioned to us, which is that, you know, like the content of ICP music really helped them to process and organize their thoughts and really helped them to make sense of the emotions that they have. Like, you know, Bloody mentions one time, like, you know, the way that they would talk about rage and anger was in a very theatrical manner. And that helped her to process the same feelings that she was having. And yeah, it would help her to process the same feelings that she was having. And really, like, that theatrical aspect of the music really helped her to be like, okay, cool, this is the way that I can process this without hurting myself or somebody around me, was the way that she said it. And so, like, I think there is a lot of power in the lyrics. Also, just as a side note, like, this is one of my favorite ICP songs is the Neden game. I am always super excited when it comes on at the gathering. Like, when that bass line first dropped at the first time that I saw the ICP headlining set at the gathering at 2022, like, I was floored and in it full bore the entire time. I love the dating game setup as well, and the fake little narration that happens throughout. I'm a huge fan.
Zach in the chat asked if pets are allowed.
Oh man, major point of contention. If pets are allowed, is he asking if he can bring a dog? Is
He just
Zach
asked
joining
in
us at the
general.
gathering?
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
We'd
So
probably bring a
yes,
cat though.
let me ask you, Deanna, in your mind, in your experience, what is not allowed at the gathering? Right? I can't like I like we have gone walking in there with the craziest looking stuff before where I have like a full backpack on my back where we're like carting in like a big wagon with a whole bunch of like pelican cases full of equipment and like no one has batted an eye or said one thing or another. Yeah, trailer park specifies you should not bring your dog. I personally I agree with this. I don't think that it's safe for a dog there. I also think it would be a really upsetting experience for a dog to be there with all the fireworks and the music going off. So while yes, you are allowed to bring your dog, it is frowned upon and poo-pooed. I believe that Kirk says this in a future clip where he's like, you know, the craziest thing that I see is when people bring their dogs and their kids here. And we'll get into that in further shows and in further chapters. I think kids at the gathering and people bringing their children to the gathering is a real hot button point of contention with a lot of juggalos as to whether or not it should be allowed. You know, I think that there are arguments on both sides of it. As we learned from one of our first streams, Trailer Park has been going to the gathering since he was 15 years old. Had like both of his parents were juggalos and he wanted to go for years. They said that he had to be 15 in order to go and went with them several times, and it sounds like it was a really amazing familial bonding experience. And yeah, I mean, I can totally see that if it's a part of your family and a part of your culture, like, yeah, absolutely go. We're going to get into that in further conversations for sure. In the meantime, and Trailer Park following up, so many fireworks, don't bring your dog to the gathering. Bootlegged at the gathering says, what's up, all? Lots of things are not allowed at the gathering. How many gatherings have y'all been to? I have been to 4 gatherings, and I have gone with Deanna to 3 gatherings. I went alone in 2022, and then she and I, wait, no, I'm sorry. You and I have gone to 2 gatherings. You and I went to 2023 and 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And of course, as with anything in life, I don't consider it to have actually happened unless Deanna was there. So really, 2022 basically didn't count. And I started going in 2023 when we shot the bulk of this documentary. Trailer Park chiming in saying, I'd say 14 to 15 years old is chill. Ooh, Bootlegged at the Gathering has been to 21 gatherings.
Oh my goodness. What year was the first one?
Yeah. When did you first go to the gathering, Bootlegged at the Gathering? We'll get an answer on that after a bit of a delay. Let's see here. I just love this clip. I think I will play this clip every time that you and I go live, Deanna, just in order to express kind of like what this documentary is about. This was somebody that I chatted with, I think on Saturday in 2023. His name was Coda. I talked to him for a grand total of like 15 seconds beyond what you're seeing here in this clip. And I just think that he speaks so wonderfully and is really reflective of a lot of my favorite people at the gathering, which is people that go there and draw a strength and a sense of self that the world otherwise does not give them usually. And I think Coda puts that words to that really excellently. Let's take a look at his clip now.
I've literally never been this happy. Like my entire life, I've been sad. And I have such bad social anxiety, agoraphobia. But I come to the gathering, And literally, I can talk to every single person I see because they're all fucking shiny just like me. And it's the most freshest shit. Like, that void that's never be able to be filled with this community is the only thing that I actually felt true, genuine love. My parents never showed me that. This Juggalo community means more than anything for me. That's what this wicked shit's about. Juggalo for life.
Oh, I just adore that clip. Like, I know I say this about almost everything that we show on this show, but that is one of my favorite things that we filmed there. Like, I just love it so much. I think that he, in a very, very short amount of time, just wrapped that up so beautifully about what the gathering and what the Juggalos mean to a lot of people, which it is family and comfort and home in a real way, in a way that I think that a lot of people there have never had before and have never experienced. Like Coda is saying, like my parents never showed me true, genuine love. I never got to see that. I have agoraphobia. I'm scared of the outside world. And yet he comes and he's like one of the standout people that is at the festival. Like he's one of those people that as I'm walking along and seeing people, I'm like, that's right there is somebody that I need to talk to. That's somebody that I want on camera. That's somebody that I know is going to tell this story well. And there's something that's just beautiful about like the empowerment of that and having a space where you can have that. As Corey said it in the chat, it's an outlet. It is very much an outlet for people. And I think like a comfortable space for people to be themselves.
I think that and it can just be, it really feels like a family reunion, considering a lot of people, that's their thing that they save up for all year to be able to go back home and feel that sense of community that they potentially have never gotten or that they don't experience when they're in their physical home. Or just their friends that, maybe you don't get to see them except for that time of year at all. I think that that sense of belonging and being able to feel free and accepted and, just comfortable in your own skin is something that I can understand how this means so much to a lot of people.
Have you ever longed for that personally, Deanna? Have you ever felt alienated from the world?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've said before on here, I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I never would have painted or gotten into art, but I would not feel such a sense of relief and calm and like meditation and joy if it wasn't also something that I brought into my life when um I didn't have that outside bonds with a lot of people. I used to be like, it's actually wild that I will go on live now. And in some ways it's kind of exposure therapy and I've gotten more used to it. And honestly, people are just generally really nice and open on here. But I used to, for a really long time, I would have to whisper somebody my order if I was getting food because I was so anxious talking to people. And it wasn't a lack of interest and it wasn't a lack of curiosity about the world or people around me. It was just like everything felt so overwhelming all the time. And I feel like sometimes that can be taken as like not being confident, but I don't think it was a lack of confidence. It was just like the amount of sensory input that you're like constantly taking in from the world and like body language and eye contact and all of that. It would just feel like too much. And I think for me, art was always a way that I could feel like that sense of like comfort and, I'm hanging out in my room.
Going back to a follow-up question. So Bootlegged at the Gathering has been down with the clown since 1994. Their first gathering was in the year 2000, which was the first ever gathering, if I'm not mistaken. That's incredible. Absolutely amazing. Trailer Park first gathering was 2009. Corey, hoping to death that your first gathering is going to be in 2025 this August at Legend Valley. I hope to see you there for sure.
If
Bootleg
you
at the
go,
Gathering.
please find us.
Yes, please come find us on Elm Street. We're right down the street from the Scrubs tent. We're camping there this year, Deanna. And as we
Yeah.
discussed on the other stream, I'm really hot on this. I'm going to drive it home. Our theme should be silver and leather.
I forgot about that.
Oh, don't you forget! I'm gonna drive it home every damn time. Silver and leather. Silver because it's the 25th anniversary of the Gathering, and leather because it's the 3rd anniversary of you and I going together, Deanna. So, what's not to celebrate? Of course.
That is very cute. I can't even fight it.
To answer your question, bootleg to Gathering, I am. How old am I, Deanna? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I guess I'm 37 years old.
Are you only 2 years older than me?
I think so. I think so.
Really?
I definitely assumed you were like 31. I have no idea how old you are. You're 35?
I'm 35.
Okay.
I did the math
Okay.
yesterday.
Yeah, isn't it wild that after you get past 30, it's like I don't really want to know anymore how old I am.
Just opposite
Um,
one.
And to answer your question, how long have you been down since? I have been down, or I have been aware of ICP for a very long time. I would say almost as long as I've had any kind of awareness of pop culture. So probably sometime around 12, 13, I started to see their faces. I started to see clips of theirs on MTV. I would listen to interviews of them on Howard Stern. Their interviews on Stern were always incredible. I remember, I remember I believe it was Violent J came in and he offered to cut off his pinky live on air on Howard. He had like a machete or a hatchet in hand and was like, I will cut off my finger here in the studio. And Howard was like, I would love to see you do that, but there's no way that we can get away with having you cut off a finger in here.
Oh my goodness.
But my first show with the Insane Clown Posse was at the Baltimore Sound Stage back in 2016. I saw that they were coming to town and I was like, I really want to see this. I'm really fascinated. I bought a ticket. I went up to the bouncer at the club and I gave him the ticket and I was dressed. I was coming directly from work. And so I had a button-down shirt on and he took one look at me and he looked back in the room and he's like, do you know what's going on in there tonight? And I was like, yes, I'm aware. I'm here to see the Insane Clown Posse show. And the two things that I was struck by, actually 3 things. One was the supporting artists, their work. I don't think I had a lot of familiarity with like horrorcore and like the Psychopathic Records, like deeper roster artists. I was really taken that a lot of their work focused around trauma and focused around just bad things happening in their lives. And I thought that I was like, wow, this is like a really raw and really just a very, very interesting look at like the support system that is clearly here. That was my number 1 takeaway. My number 2 takeaway is you have not lived until you're in the middle of watching a concert and you have to dodge a 2-liter Faygo bottle that's just been launched by Shaggy 2 Dope at your head and you are actively trying to get away from it. I thought that was like the most incredible and thrilling experience that I'd ever had at a concert, was like having to actively like make sure I wasn't getting hit in the face with with Faygo bottles. So that was incredible. And then my third big takeaway, I was like, man, the Juggalos are like insanely nice. Like they just seem like a very, like I clearly was not of the ilk and I clearly was an outsider in that world. And I felt as though I was welcomed there with open arms. People were conversational and friendly and they wanted to know they did not treat me as an outsider. And I was overall, like my takeaway was, wow, this is like a really like welcoming and loving community and a place where you could really feel at home, in a space where I think a lot of people go in order to get that feeling. And that just stuck with me. And then about 6 years later, I had an opportunity and space in my calendar. And I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to go to the Gathering of the Juggalos since I was like 18 years old. I am going. And that was in 2022. I really had an amazing experience. I think that the ICP set that happened at 2022 was I have seen hundreds, if not like upwards of 1,000 concerts before, and I would count that still to this day in my top 5 concerts that I've ever seen. I thought it was incredible. It provided for like a whole life-changing experience for me that I really loved. So yeah, so I would say that I have been down with the clown since about 2016. Cool. Oh, snap, Deanna. Guess who's in the chat?
Ooh.
We've got
Mystic,
Mystic.
hi! Mystic,
Mystic,
will you
who
come on the
is
show?
hyping up the silver and leather theme.
You can help us with vibes.
Yes, please help us with vibes. Mystic, would you like to come on the show at some point? Would you like to be a guest? Let's
We were
see.
talking about how great it would be, Mystic, if we could talk to you on here about your characters and some of what you had planned from last or for next year, and um kind of your like thinking behind your characters.
Yes, most definitely. I would love to get some let's deep dive the cosplay. Let's chat with you about what you have planned for this year. Would love to have you on. I'll hit you up in the DMs later today as far as get you on the schedule for sometime in the next few weeks.
And it would be great also just to catch up with you. I haven't seen you in a
Yeah.
while.
Bootleg Day at the Gathering said, "What took you so long to come to a gathering?" I had a wife, and she did not want me to go to the gathering of the Juggalos. Was the short answer. My ex-wife was in no way interested in like having me go and hang out with the Juggalos for days and days on end.
What
Um,
was your reasoning?
I don't. She just was not going to be down with that at all. I don't know whether or not she thought I was going to get hurt, or whether or not it was just like dumb that I wanted to go in general. That was probably it. But that was like the main blockage. Was like even when I was like 22, she and I had been dating early. So when I no longer had a wife, that was like
When the
that was the
wife's
thing that I
away,
wanted to run at in bachelorhood, was becoming a
the
gathering.
mice will go to the gathering.
Let's see. Trailer Park couldn't agree more. Shout out to Mystic. Oh yeah, Ouija Mac always does put on a great set at the Gathering of the Juggalos. That was actually like the first day that I was there was on Friday in 2022, and I remember thinking like, one, his pit was insane, like absolutely crazy, like people setting off fireworks and a huge mosh pit. It was so much fun to see, but then like his energy is unbelievable in the show. I actually do have a really good clip that we posted yesterday, but unfortunately, I don't think that we can show it right now because we're also on TikTok and it would absolutely get shut down. We'll do it on the next stream we'll review, but posted a video of it last night. It's of him basically giving his thoughts on fentanyl, which I think was like one of the moment when I saw it live, like gave me goosebumps, like he basically stands up and he's like, F fentanyl. And the entire crowd erupted. I mean, like just like a huge reaction in which you could feel so much coming from people with that sentiment. And he's like, fentanyl has no place here. If you're pushing it here and if you're trying to sell it to people, like, get out. We don't want you here. And they're honestly, like, you could feel a lot of pain in people in hearing that. And like, it sent shivers up my spine when I was there and filming it. And as I've shown the documentary to people, that moment always gets like an audible wow from whoever is watching the documentary. It tells a very large story in about 45 seconds. So would highly recommend that one. We'll review that clip next week.
Yeah, there's a lot that probably. So right now, Dana and I are streaming this to TikTok and to YouTube. On YouTube, we're able to show a lot more of the clips that we have from the documentary. As we get further in telling the story that we're trying to show in the documentary, it does get more into things like that. Like we interview people who are giving out free Narcan. We talk to a lot of people who have gone through substance abuse or who have, just a lot of history that they like very kindly let us know about. I don't know that many of those clips will be able to be transferred into TikTok just for regulation reasons. And not even because they're just, it's just like words that are used. So if you are interested in that, please go to our YouTube page so you can get into some of the deeper aspects of this. I think so far we've really only introduced the very, the most shallow, honestly, of what we we can explore on here. And as we release more clips, I think it's more of the message and more of the heart of the story
Most
that
definitely.
we're not necessarily able to play all the clips on here just for reasons.
Yeah, unfortunately. But have been pretty wide open on YouTube. So thankfully YouTube has not really set a lot of issues with anything that we have posted thus far. And as a result, we've been building an audience, and it's been a lot of fun to see people react to these clips and to see this thing build out an audience and to have people come in and see the same level of beauty that we do there. Even Corey, you in the chat, excellent example of that. Like you have said, never gone to a gathering. I believe you've just said in here that you're not a juggalo. And yet here you are chatting with us on a Friday afternoon as Deanna does that absolutely gorgeous painting.
And as we yap.
Exactly. Oh, Bootlegged at the Gathering has written a book and also has a YouTube channel. My apologies.
What?
Trailer Park is a big fan. Yeah, Bootlegged at the Gathering. Drop the name of the book. Let's hear. I'd love to get it a shout out. Let's give it a little plug. Corey saying, keep it up. And Mystic saying, very well done, Deanna. I love this channel and these amazing humans. You both are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Mystic. You know, we wouldn't have anybody here watching this if it weren't for you and your absolutely gorgeous words that you gave to us in your interview. Again, just want to say, anytime that I have shown this documentary to people, or I have, that I've screened it for outsiders, Mystic is like one of the top answers. I'm always like, who was your favorite person that we interviewed? And it's like so consistently either number one or number two is Mystic. So really does like an amazing job. We haven't even scratched the surface on their interview yet. We have so many more clips to get through. Cool.
Cool.
The upcoming title of Bootlegged at the Gatherings book is It's Not Where You're At, It's Where You're Going. It's
Love
not where
it.
you're at, it's where you're going. Bootlegged at the Gathering cannot wait to get more info on that and to see you and meet you at the Gathering this year. Deanna and I will indeed be there. We will not be, as Trailer Park said, he had a funny name for people that stay in hotels here. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to lose it. But also, we did say that we were going to keep this one to a tight hour, Deanna, and we are at 1 p.m. now.
All right, sweet baby angel.
Don't you feel like you could just go for hours more? Don't you feel like
I
we could
know,
never
that's all
end
I want
this?
to do all
I
day.
know, I know, I'm the same. I'm like, hey, why the hell do we have to go? Like, what is life? What's so great about life that's going to drive us away from this stream, Deanna? I have no
It's so
idea.
rude.
I know we've got to go out into the cruel outside world now. These people don't even know about juggalos. They've never been to a gathering. Look at that absolutely gorgeous
Yeah,
progress on
I
that
know.
painting. Trailer Park, do you remember when this was just a sketch? It was barely even a shadow of the work of art that it is right now. Trailer Park in from the ground floor was there for our absolutely first stream, was our first person to ever put a comment in the chat, and I will always
No, that
shout
was
that
so
out.
cool.
Thank you so much. Okay. Trailer Park said that a person that stays in a hotel is a hotelalo. Hotelalo. So we have been hotelalos for the last 3 years. Shout out to Brittany at the Newark, Ohio DoubleTree Hotel. I absolutely love her. She runs that place like a naval warship. I love her so much. She recognizes and remembers us every year. But this year, Trailer Park, we are camping at the Gathering.
We are the silver and leather tent.
See, doesn't that have such a nice little ring to it? Doesn't it have like a cool little vibe?
I'll make us a sign.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh. there will be a vibe.
I think people are going to want to come in with different expectations, so I feel like we need to
Bring your best silver and leather self down to Dan and Deanna's tent at the gathering of the Juggalos. I can't wait to see what that has to say. Man, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching the stream. I know that this is a weird time for us to do one at Friday afternoon at 12 p.m. Really appreciate you coming on board. Deanna, as always, love you endlessly. You're one of my favorite human beings in the world, my absolute best friend, my ride or die. Thank you for coming and showing off your wonderful, artistic skills and sitting here and chatting about the gathering and otherwise just elevating my damn day, Deanna, just making it that much better.
You're great, Dan. I love you too, and I'm so glad to do this with you.
I know. And just so everybody knows, we will be coming back again and doing this next week. Honestly, I think that Deanna and I cannot get enough of doing this, has been the sense that I get, and we're focused on it a lot and are really, really enjoying talking to you guys and really loving showcasing this work and everything else. So thank you guys so much for showing up and for being here. We love you to death, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. I put the P in there.
Oh, good job! Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop.
Bye.
Bye.